morning. These are your BYU-Idaho Radio morning headlines for Friday, June 6th, 2025. Thanks for listening. I'm Jill Clary. Do you enjoy creative writing? If so, there's an opportunity you won't want to miss. The Writing Center's Inkblot is accepting submissions this semester for this semester's anthology, Midsummer Promise. Here's the story. Every semester, the BYU-Idaho Writing Center accepts written submissions for Inkblot, an anthology collection of written work by students. This semester's theme is Midsummer Promise. Leah Curtis is a Writing Center tutor and the Inkblot coordinator and educator-in-chief. She picked the theme for this semester.
I mostly wanted something that could capture the feeling of summer. Midsummer kind of alludes to Midsummer Night's Eve, and there's a lot of mischief that goes on in that as well. And the idea that midsummer is also halfway through the summer, so pairing that with the word promise, sort of like half-kept promises and mischief and the sort of romantic ideas of summertime.
Each semester, about 30 submitted works are published in Inkblot. Students can write in any genre, ranging from poetry, creative nonfiction, to prose. They do not have to follow the theme. Curtis says her number one piece of advice for those submitting is to have other people look at their writing.
Creation is never a solitary process. So you always need the opinions of others, another set of eyes to look at what you have and to tell you, where issues might be that you can't see.
Curtis encourages students who enjoy writing to submit their work because it's a great opportunity.
It's a really low-stakes opportunity to get published as a student at a college. There's no penalty if you don't get accepted, and you just submit something and see what happens, and then who knows, maybe you have a piece published and you can put that on your resume.
Curtis has submitted her own work to Inkblot in past semesters. She wrote a poem, Matches at Midnight, based on her experience in the British literary tour through the school.
What I like most is how much fun it is. You could just get to play around with all these different ideas and just see what happens.
Students have until Wednesday, June 11th at 11:59 p.m. to submit their work. For the submission form, you can scan the QR code on one of the Midsummer Promise posters located around campus, or go to the Writing Center Instagram page at BYU-I Writing Center and follow the link in the bio. For BYU-Idaho Radio, I'm Jill Clary. On a Tuesday afternoon, a group of strangers took action to rescue a woman, Cynthia Parker, from her partially submerged car. Not all of the rescuers have been able to be identified by East Idaho News. It's not unusual to see a car in the canal along Hawthorne Road. When Cassia Myers saw a car in the canal, she at first assumed no one was inside. Then the car was getting carried through the water and started to rotate. Myers said that as the car rotated, she saw a woman in it. Myers slammed the brakes on her car, got out, and called 911. The 16-year-old Mason Bates was driving home from the gym with his girlfriend. He also stopped his car and jumped into the water. He said that he did not have much time to think about the danger before jumping in. An unidentified man also entered the water. Bates and the man were unable to open the car doors. At this point, Nate Lee pulled up in a work truck. Lee was able to provide a wrench from his truck, which was passed to Bates, who broke the car window. After discovering that the door handle was broken, Lee entered the water and broke the glass on the driver's side window. He then cut Parker's seatbelt with a knife he says he carries every day. Lee pulled Parker out of the window, and the three rescuers formed a chain and guided her back to the bank of the canal. Parker did not require medical transport after the accident, but her vehicle was totaled. Her niece, Kinsey Bradshaw, posted a GoFundMe campaign for her aunt to assist her after the incident. The Idaho State Police have partnered with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. State officials announced Thursday that they transport immigrants convicted of crime who are not authorized to be in the U.S. to ICE detention centers for deportation. Governor Brad Little issued a news release that says Idaho will participate in the jail enforcement model under the 287G program, which allows ICE to delegate specific immigration officer functions to state and local law enforcement officers. State officials said Idaho State Police will only be targeting and transporting people who have been convicted of a crime and are finishing their incarceration sentence. Rather than releasing the inmates to society, they will be directly transported to ICE facilities in Idaho for detention. State officials said that Idaho State Police are seeking $300,000 in funding to pay for transports. The money would be used to provide up to 100 transports from Idaho jails or prisons to ICE facilities for deportation, such as the Jefferson County Detention Center in Rigby. These have been your BYU-Idaho Radio morning headlines for June 6th, 2025. Thanks for tuning in. More news, interviews, and great content are available on our podcast feed. Search for BYU-Idaho Radio on your favorite podcast apps. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and more. You can also ask your smart speakers to play KBYI 94.3 FM. Have a great weekend. This is BYU-Idaho Radio, and I'm Jill Clary.